Okay, and we are live. Welcome everybody to the new podcast. It's called the Entrepreneur Toolbelt Podcast. Get used to it. It's going to be around for a very long time. I have plenty of amazing guests. Today I got my friend all the way from the Carolinas, Andrea here, the corporate entrepreneur. She's an amazing person. I'm telling you, I've been watching her for a while. Her come up is crazy. As far as, credit repair and real estate and still working a job, man. I'm telling you, if 2020 didn't teach you anything, it teaches you how to hustle and survive. So I definitely want to pick your brain for a few minutes just to talk about your journey and how you got so far into your career. So without further ado, everybody, welcome to the show, my special guest.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you, Antoine, for having me. Super excited to plug in. Anytime I can get an opportunity to plug in and share my story with others is amazing. So I definitely want to commend you on having this podcast. Definitely want to thank you for relaunching it and thinking of me to be the first one on here. So just let me know where you want me to start, and I'm ready.
Yeah, I always ask my guests, like, give us a little background, who you are, like how you started, how you got to where you at. Just an explanation of, where you started from and how you got to where you at.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Andrel Harris, in the Greensboro, North Carolina market. And I've always considered myself like business savvy from like a very, very young age. So entrepreneurship has just been something that has been in the forefront. I just had different avenues of going about it. And for me, and also I consider myself good with money as well. So money has always been interesting to me as far as finances, debt management, and things of that nature. So back in 2008, well, actually, let me back up. I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, and I had landed a job at a Fortune 500 company. So within that particular company, I started learning the ins and outs of finances, right? So it taught me about the credit cards, balance transfer, this, that, and the third. So I consider myself a place for that particular moment. I was also in sales, so I was making more than the peers my age. So because of that, I kind of put my other dreams on the back burner because here I am in corporate America making a lot of money at the time. And so in 2008, I had my first home built. And of course, you guys know around that time, the market had crashed. So I actually had experienced my corporate job laying everybody off. They closed down. We never seen it coming. And so here I am, just purchased my house. And so I was like, okay, what am I going to do? My mortgage is still the same. The job has laid us off. And so I found myself in a position to where I really had to test my skills when it came to finances, because now I'm like, okay, now I have to pay bills. Y'all, the bank did not help me lower my mortgage. At that time, my bank, they were saying, well, Ms. Harris, we can see that you're able to pay your bills. So we can't do anything for you. The Obama program couldn't help because of the type of loan that I had. And so at that moment, when I moved into my home, I had furnished everything off of store credit. So, because I had good credit, there was like no payments for 2 years. And I just walked out with all this furniture. And so when the company shut down, I found myself in a position to where I was really living paycheck to paycheck to kind of pay all my bills. Like everybody got paid on time. My bank accounts were at zero, but my credit score was through the roof. Okay. So at that period, fast forward to 2013, I was still traveling. I was still living this lifestyle that I was accustomed to. I was still traveling. I depleted my savings account, depleted my 401k. And so and from the outside looking in, it just appeared as though I had my life together. Like people will comment, it was like, oh, I want to be like you. And how can I get on and things like that. But in reality, when I came home, I was really upset because I was like, okay, here I am living paycheck to paycheck. I was fortunate enough to get another job, but that job was like half of what I was making at my previous job. So then I had the debt that was debt began to become due for my furniture bills or whatever. And so now I'm just like, oh my God, I really have to find something to do with my life. Like I can't continue to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. And so as I'm going through these things, I also started educating on my platform. I started giving tips on financial literacy, emergency funds, and things like that. And to the point where I had people actually reach out to me and inbox me like, hey, can I jump on a call with you? I need help with my finances. I don't know how to manage my money. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And so at that time, I had 6-figure earners coming to me like, hey, can you help me with my money? And so then I knew that it was an issue in our community, and I wanted to kind of hone in on finance. So finances was like my thing. But let me just tell you guys that in 2006, I did go to school to be a real estate agent. I quickly ended that class once the professor told me that I didn't have to be an agent in order to invest in real estate. You know, he was like, you know, if you get your license, you're going to be held to these standards. You have to disclose this and you have to disclose that. And I was like, I don't want to be an agent. I just want to invest in real estate. Right. So, you know, I just discontinued that. But my focus coming out, I was the debt slayer. So I was helping people eliminate debt and balance their lives and things like that. So my core focus in the beginning was on personal finance. And that pivot for me was when I saw younger females in real estate, like getting checks, like right. The real estate right. checks. I mean, and for me, it was just like, okay, I know the personal finance things was good. I built my brand around it. I had all types of courses helping individuals. And I was like, okay, but that real estate money, I'm going to have to double back to this real estate thing. And I don't want to get too far into that. If you have any questions about it first.
So let's go back a little bit, right? Because you just spit nuggets all out the place. Let me organize it for people. You had a great job, right? And you lost your job. And I think this is the story that always repeats itself towards everybody who doesn't understand the game, right?
Right.
You had a great job, you lost the job, and you find yourself still having to keep your composure and still live your life, and everybody thinking you crushing it. Well, you still trying to figure out how to, you know, survive on the back end for yourself. How did you handle that pressure? Like, you got people coming to you, you know, doing good, making good money, and you barely surviving your damn self. How did you handle that?
That's actually a good question. So when they were coming to me, I just knew that, okay, I have to be, the first thing I had to do was be real with myself, because I'm like, you not living a life that they think you're living. So at the end of 2013, I actually said, forget what everyone is thinking at that point. I was like, it's time for me to get my financial house in order. So when I came back, I was like traveling different places that year. And I recall in August that year, I went to Atlanta. That was like my last trip. And so when I got to Atlanta, I lied to you not, I had like this aha moment that was like, you need to get yourself together, like ASAP. And so I was like, okay, when I get back home from Atlanta, I promise I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get myself back on track and get out of this paycheck to paycheck cycle. So at that point, what I did was when I came home, I was like, you're not going anywhere. Like, you can't even save money. You right. Putting, you know, food and gas on your credit cards. So again, by me being transparent, allow those people to be drawn onto me. And so I decided to do, I had to cut off cable. I stopped getting my nails done. I stopped getting my hair done. I found ways to cut back as much as possible.
That's a huge sacrifice.
Yeah. So then I was like, you know what? Now you're not going to go shopping, like, period. You're not going to go out here and get anything new, because I always felt like I had to have something new when I go out of town or when I go home from vacation. So I put myself on a 365-day no spend challenge, right? And I made it public. I was like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm not shopping for a whole year. So I will have different periods and to where I will actually count down. So people would see me count down throughout this year. And it was someone that was on Instagram at the time. I think her name was Mahogany, but I forget her name, but it was this big person, this influencer on Instagram, and she reposted my challenge on her page, and then the thing went viral.
Okay.
So where everybody was like, oh, I'm not shopping, and you know, so it kind of blew up. And then people was like, oh, I'm not shopping for a year. And so then I ended up getting picked up in Forbes because of that reason. I was able to clear out all my consumer debt, build up a emergency fund account, and start investing more than I ever invested before because of that sacrifice. And Forbes did a feature on me way back then. So this wasn't no paid into type thing.
This wasn't what the people doing now, trying to, pay somebody to write an article about them. This is a legitimate article that they picked up from you.
Right. And so that was like an aha moment to me, because I'm just like, if I never took that sacrifice to take myself serious enough to change my life around, I would never have that feature. Right. So it was more so how I was able to shed my debt within, I think it was 7 months, I believe, pull myself out of that debt and continue to go forward. So I just looked at myself as a vessel almost, where people could look at me and say, okay, I know that I have to get my house in order. And in our community, we don't really, talk about those things.
So after Forbes picked you up, I'm pretty sure, like, I remember like the first time my name started buzzing, I went on Steve Train's show and everybody named Mother knew who Antoine Campbell was. How did you handle that pressure that you becoming like a trending subject? Like, did you like had to regroup, or did you just continue to push forward what you was already doing?
It's a good question. I was actually riding off the adrenaline. There was a pivot point for me, because I was trying to help everybody one-on-one. Like, I would have one-on-one classes and things like that. And I was like, I can't do this. Because at that point I was in Atlanta, speaking at different events for influencers and things like that. So everybody's like, I need help. I'm like, I can't help everybody. And so I had to really regroup, because I was like, okay, my brand can't handle the amount of people that's coming to me. So that's when I was like, okay, now you have to create these courses, create these debt management courses, create these courses teaching about investing. So that's how I grew it. But I was pretty much riding off of that energy to help me elevate.
Now that's crazy. So let's go back a little bit. You talked about when you went to Atlanta, it clicked. For some reason, when I look at like a lot of successful Black people, when they go to Atlanta, like no matter where they go in the country, when it's something about the water in Atlanta or the energy, they just reinvent themselves and they just start crushing it. So what do you think that Atlanta had impact on that made you say, you know what, let me go back home and tighten on my stuff?
Well, for me, I just know that when I got there, I went down there for a hair show. So I was a part-time stylist at the time. So I went there for that. But when I got there, I knew that, because I've been on several trips before in that year. And I knew that when I returned home, just seeing how Atlanta operates, it's like the Black Mecca. So just seeing how they operate, I was like, okay, I know when I get home, my life is not how it looks, right? And so it really was a comment that was made after that trip, where someone was like, someone that I knew, she was like, I want to be like you because you're doing it. And in the back of my head, I was like, oh no, this is the wrong image. Like they really don't know like what's going on behind closed doors. So I was, at that point, no shopping fast. I went from looking like I had it together to not looking like I had it together. Like, I literally have shoes that popped and ran over. There were flip-flops that popped and shoes that ran over and everything. But, I knew that my vision was clear at that point, that I had to change my life around. And it's been up from there, to be honest. So.
That's crazy. So on the 1 year challenge where you went no shopping, right? Did you actually see a difference in your savings account, or just something you just did just to do?
Yeah, I did see a difference, because I wasn't like spending. Only thing I spent was on necessities. So if it wasn't any type of necessities, I was like, I'm not buying it. And plus, mind you, I already cut off my cable, nails and things like that. So my goal was to decrease expenses as much as I could and then increase my income. So I did. I went to be a part-time hairstylist at the time, so I could take all of that money that I was earning from that, plus my other job, and attack my debt and attack my savings account and my investment account.
But you know what's funny though? I've been saying this for a while. Mm-hmm. I told every aspiring entrepreneur, find you a solidified side hustle that can finance your dreams, so you can't give up on them. So whatever you got, 9 to 5, cool. You can drive for Uber, you can do hair on the side, you can do something to scale it with your hands to be able to take that money and put it into your bigger dreams.
Yes.
It seemed like that's something you kind of did with the head thing. Can you talk about that a little more?
And to be honest, when I said that I put my dreams on hold when I was working in corporate America, when I initially came to this city, Greensboro, my initial goals was to go to school to become a cosmetologist so I can own the salon. Like I didn't want to just work behind the salon, work behind a chair, but be a salon owner. And so when I got hired on to the Fortune 500 company, I was making so much money that I was like, I'm not trying to go to, school right now.
Right.
And actually, let me take it back, not go to the board, because I had already been to school for cosmetology, but I didn't go to the board because I was making so much money. But when corporate America closed their doors, immediately I was like, I'm never going to be in this position again because I don't know what corporate America is going to do. So at that point, I was already out of hair school for like 5 years, and I went to the state board and passed it like the first time I started studying. And I was like, okay, this is always going to be your backup. So, regardless, whatever corporate America does, that you still can pick up and you can have some type of income coming in. So to this day, I still keep my license active. So,
I like to call that what I call that the entrepreneur life raft. Like every boat or floating vessel you get on has some type of life raft or extra inflatable boat that protects in the time that the boat sinks. So as an entrepreneur, you can't predict the future. You should have something where you can kind of like go back to, because now let's speed up a little bit. Social media is a little toxic. You can become anybody you want.
Yeah.
You failing in life.
Right.
So like, how do you handle that? Like making sure that you stay who you are deep down.
Which is another good question. I actually battled with this because I was actually building a brand and not getting drawn into everything on social media for me is difficult because I see so much and I tap out quick. Okay. Right. So people will follow me and I'm like, I'm on a break. I'll go off of social media for like 3 months at a time so I can get focused on what I have going versus looking at what's going on out here in the world. So, and I do that a lot. If I feel like I'm getting too sidetracked, I'm like, okay, pull back. Let's go in a direction, stay focused, and I would just shut down. But I'm trying to get better with not shutting down like that anymore because consistency, people want to see, right? Exactly. But yeah, so I take breaks. That's how I deal with that. But no,
I do the same thing. Like like sometimes I just take like a week off. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not really off. I just go to a different scenery.
Right.
I can just focus on me and write and go by the water. My biggest thing is I like to find things that take my mind off of thinking because I'm a thinker. All I do is try to figure out, what's the next idea? And that's a high to me. Like that's the ultimate high, like chasing the next idea.
Yes.
So how do you stay like tunnel vision to the point that your ideas, because if you're an influencer, there's always ideas rolling. How do you stay tunnel vision to ensure that one thing you're working on is actually going to be successful, then I have 15 things in progress and nothing's been successful?
That's very good. And actually this year I can tell you, I'm so all over the place with everything because of Clubhouse. And I'm gonna be honest, Clubhouse has me going left, right, straight.
Man, I got Clubhouse. I can't do this. It's too much for me.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's so many different things out there where people are like, oh, this is popping, this is making money, this is making money. I'm like, oh my God. And then I teamed up with my sisters, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna do this. So now let me tell you, prior to this year, and the years prior, what I do to hold myself accountable is before the new year comes in every single year, I have goals that I write out that I want to accomplish for the year. And then I break those goals up by quarter. So quarterly, I know, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. First quarter, this is the things that I want to get done. And I try to make sure that I am following that format throughout the year, because I know me, if it's too much going on, I pause. Like it feels like I'm not doing nothing. And if you go on my Facebook, you're probably gonna see a post that I said, listen, when I get back, I'm gonna have to shut down for a little bit. And that's only because I feel like I'm all over the place now. But that's how I hold myself accountable, is by having those goals before the year comes in. Like I said, I print them out and then I do it by quarter. And so at the end of the year, what happens every single year, I've been doing this for like the past 7 years or so, or probably more. At the end of that year, I actually grade myself like hard. And I'm like, okay, what did you accomplish off of this list? And based on that, I would do a pass or fail. And so after I do the pass or fail, I'm just like, I have notes as well. What is something that you would change for that year? And I found that the more things that I did that got sidetracked off of caused me to derail from my goals, and I will put a film on it. There are some instances where things would just come up where it's like, okay, this is really good, and I have to maybe shift the goal that I didn't put on there that at the beginning of the year, where it just catapulted, and I'm just like, okay, this makes up for this, so you will still pass. But I hold myself accountable by having goals every year.
Yeah, so I'm the same way, right? Like I literally could come up with an idea and then put it into implementation in a few days. Like, so I had to read a book and realize that they call me a visionary. So I had to find an integrator, and France is I believe is my integrator. So it keeps me disciplined. So he's like, hey, no, I got you, boss, but we're working in 2 weeks. Yeah. You need somebody to kind of like literally tell you, no, slow down. Let's focus on it. And I think that's the number one struggle. Like, because you see people out here, Clubhouse kind of like, I don't want to say Clubhouse toxic, but I did a few little episodes on that, and I just like, I don't like it. Like I'm the type of person, if I don't like something, I'm not going to do it. I don't care how popular it is. I'm with it. So like, I told my team, like, man, I just like to do these Facebook lives. Like, I like to get people on, interview them, and ask them real questions. That's my style. So let's do a new podcast, and that's how we came up with the podcast. So like, talk about your real estate. Like, how do you get from cosmetology school all the way to the real estate in Greensboro?
I was always interested in real estate, and I just did, like I said, I didn't know how to really tap into real estate because only back in 2006, there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube about how to get into real estate without, money or credit. But back in 2006, I was trying to figure it out. Dean Graziosi, I ordered some of his books off of an infomercial way back in the day. And then carton sheets. I had some emails from him back in the day. And like I said, 2006, I was in the class. Like I still have my books and everything. But then I'm like, I just want to be an investor. I really don't want to get out here and just kind of sell. I don't want to do that. So fast forward from 2006 to 2013-ish, I want to say or maybe 2010. It probably was 2010 or 13, somewhere around there. I end up going to a event called Millionaire Mind Intensive Training by T. Harv Ekers. Like, I'm big on going to events, connecting, networking with individuals. So I went to this event, and the event was in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm in Greensboro, so it's like an hour away from here. I didn't have any friends to go with, so I was like, hey, when it comes to investing in myself or going to these types of events to level up, I'm going to go. I'm not going to wait on anyone. So I went to this event down in Charlotte, and when I got there, the room, I could count how many people in the room that looked like me, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm in the right space. So when I got into the room, I remember at the back of the room, there was like 4 or 5? It was like 4 gentlemen in the back of the room. And when I came in, they were just like, here, sit here, right? I was like, okay. So when we had a break, they were like, what do you do? Where are you at? And, why are you at this event? I'm like, because I want to learn, they didn't see other people like me. I'm like, I'm here to learn. So what ended up happening is I met this guy named Joe White, and he was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So they drove to Charlotte as well. So come to find out, and I want to put this out here. Prior to meeting Joe and going to this event, I went to a local RIA meeting here in North Carolina. The local RIA meeting here in North Carolina, I was referred to this meeting by a Caucasian guy. He was like, go to this RIA meeting. You will see investors there. So back then, he was like, I think it was around 2010. So back then, it was a guy at the RIA, a young guy. And I was like, what do you do? He's like, I wholesale. So that was my first time hearing about wholesaling real estate. He was like, I have, a property. I connect them with an investor. I get my middleman cut. And I was like, oh, right. I can do that. Do you need a license? He was like, no. I'm like, perfect. So again, there was no information for me to go off of. So I'm winging it. And I started I connected with an investor at the RIA. And so at that time, I'm like, you have a property? He was like, yeah. And then I had a landlord in the RIA. He was like, he's looking for properties. I met both of them at the property. I didn't have the contracts. I didn't really know about it. And I was just like, he has a property. Like, do you want to get it? And, it was just all bad. It didn't go well. I'm a very systematic person. So for me, I have to have A, B, C, D type of steps in order to follow. I didn't have that. And so I stopped. I didn't look any further into wholesaling real estate. And then again, I started cultivating my finance business. And so fast forward to the event. Now I get to meet this guy named Joe White. Joe White tells me that he wholesales real estate and he actually has a course. So I'm like, wow, okay. When I met Joe, I wasn't mentally in a space to where I was ready to receive it, because sometimes we can get messages that we're not mature enough to handle. And so Joe was telling me at that time, he was like, hey, you're all over the place. Like, I was in and out of MLMs trying to figure stuff out. I was trying to recruit him. And I'm like,
Joe, trying to get the money. That's all it sounds like to me.
You have to get into this. And, so it didn't go well. He was right. He was like, you're trying to do too much and you really need to focus. So Joe had the course. And so at the time, like I said, I was still focused. Since he said focus, I started focusing on personal finance. So when I had my clients come to me, I'm like, hey, I'm going to refer you over to Joe because he knows about the real estate. And I knew the concept. That's like, he knows about the real estate. So I'm going to send you over to him because he has the course. I pushed so much business to Joe to the point to where he gave me his course for free. He was just like, yo, you are doing your thing. Here's access to the course because you added so much value to me, and people I've referred friends and everything over to him. They were able to close $5,000 deals, $9,000 deals, I'm just off of me referring. And I knew it worked, but it was still like I'm focused on financial literacy. So I didn't ever start. Even when he gave me the course, I still didn't start. So yeah, fast forward to when I did start, 2018, I was playing around with it. I wasn't really serious. Like I said, if you see my name, you see the corporatepreneur. Okay. So the corporatepreneur meaning that I still have a corporate job, but I'm also an entrepreneur. So these are for the individuals that work, but at the same time, they're actively building their empire. So that's where the name comes from. So, I still had to, maneuver around the corporate America, still trying to handle my personal finance clients. And then I was just toying with real estate. I was toying with it. Like, I would ride some days I won't ride for dollars, drive for dollars. I wasn't doing anything, wasn't making no noise. So in 2019 is when I really took it serious. So someone actually asked me, they was like, hey, you're in North Carolina, you know Max Maxwell? And I'm like, I don't know Max Maxwell. So they was like, he's right there in North Carolina. Like, when he said Maxwell, I was thinking of John, the other Maxwell, like somebody else. So I'm like, let me
the singer Maxwell.
Yeah. So I was like, let me go to YouTube. And I lie to you not, I binge watched so many videos. And I was like, wow, like, this is who he is. And at the same time, simultaneously, I started seeing females pop up. Like, now it's like, I'm retired from my job. I'm doing this and I got these chairs. I'm like, okay, it's done. Like, I'll say no more. I'm going to shift my focus now, put the personal finance on the back burner, and I'm going to put real estate to the forefront. So my mindset at the time was, if I put the real estate in the forefront, then I can start getting all of these checks to allow me to double back and take my time with the personal financing part and all the other things. So when I did that, at the time, Max had his first challenge, which was get your deal in 30 days, like a 30-day deal away challenge. So I was like, okay, I already know about wholesaling, but this is going to give me some accountability. So I'm going to go for it because I've already been out here messing around, had the course and all of that. So that challenge actually gave me the accountability. And so I was able to lock up my first wholesale deal within a week, like from start to finish. And so when I'm laser focused on something like that, that's pretty much it. Like, and so I was able to get like a $6,000 check. And from there, it's like, it's been on and popping.
Yeah, you've just been applying the pressure, right? I've been following around. I'm like, hey man, you can see people who just, when you tunnel vision shit and just kind of like dial in, you can see the results. Like, in the last year, I seen the evolution of who you are as a female. Yeah. It's an amazing thing. So let's talk about some tips you can give someone who's on a 9-to-5 that's looking to kind of like, do that thing as an entrepreneur or corporatepreneur, as you would say. What are some core tips that they must follow in order to even consider being a corporatepreneur?
The first thing is, I'm going to tell everybody, don't don't beat yourself up for having a 9 to 5 or working a job. Okay. So it's a lot of hype, like entrepreneur. They make it look sexy. They make everything look glamorous. But I am a firm believer that not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, right? Well, I believe that everyone should have some sort of options, meaning that you should own something. So there are some people that absolutely love what they do. You know, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have all of these types of people that need to be working, right? But I tell people that's in the corporate field, make sure you have some options. So that's my tip. You always want to make sure you have a backup plan. 1, you want to make sure you have your emergency funds. That's 2. And then also make sure you're putting yourself in a position to where you do own something, because you don't know what corporate America is going to do, right? So if they shut them doors, like, at least know that you're secure. So I teach people how to secure those, what I call FU funds, which is basically your emergency funds. So if something happens, you're like, all right, F it, I got money right here, right now, that I can kind of live off of. In addition to that, while you're on the corporate job, whether you love or hate your job, start building those assets, whether you want to build wealth for your family or you want to do it for yourself as a safety net. But make sure you always have those options in addition to that. So now for the ones that are just like, okay, I'm in corporate America, because for me in corporate America, I was looking for someone like myself. I was looking for someone to show me a way out. I thought for the longest time, I was like, oh my God, I have a mortgage. I'm not going to be able to be a full-time entrepreneur. That's how I was thinking, like early on. And I didn't have anyone to actually teach me to be like, okay, these are some things that you can do to make sure you're secure. So when you take that launch off of out of your job, then you still have those checks coming in. So that kind of leads up to what I'm doing now, which I can talk about later. But actually, and I'm telling you guys this, last year, I hit 6 figures in real estate on a very, very, very part-time basis. I did that without a team. I don't have any VAs or anything. It's just straight grind after the 9 to 5. And I make more part-time in real estate than I did full-time in my job, which is crazy.
Wow. That's very impressive.
Yeah, so that part just showed me like it's no limit. And when I say I just think that everything aligned. I think the timing and everything just aligned when it was supposed to. However, I did beat myself up like, girl, you knew about wholesaling back in 2010. Imagine where you would be if you would have stuck with it. You know, try to figure it out how far you would be right now. Like,
you want to know one thing? The one thing I learned so far, I'm only 32, but I've been in this world 32 years and I learned a whole lot. Yeah. Everything happens for a reason, right? Yep. You ever seen the movie Back to the Future with the white guy with the cars with the doors?
Years ago, yes. Yes.
He always said, the old white guy looked at him and said, hey, whatever you do, don't mess with the past. Leave it alone when you go back. Right. So like, think about if you would have just messed with something or critique anything, what would you be now? You know what I mean? So right. I personally never questioned why I've been through what I went through, or right. How the struggles happen, because it prepares you for who you are today. And it looks to me you're happy, you're rejuvenated, and you're well focused in your business. So that's an amazing thing. So what is the biggest failure, and what did you learn from it, over the last 10 years, I guess?
I don't really look at things as failure though. To me, I really honestly look at everything as a lesson. Like, that didn't work. So what were you supposed to get from that? Right. So I can't say it was any failures in anything. I just look at it like, okay, in life, you have certain type of tests that you're going to be presented with, and you're going to either pass it or you're going to learn from it. And so I have learned from a lot of things. And one of the things I can say that I learned from was not acting on the information that I was given. So even if I'm presented with, like I said, I was given a course, I didn't act on the information that I was given at that time. So I can kind of say that may play a little part in it. But as far as failures, I can't really say I have any that I would consider failures, more so just lessons with it, if that makes sense.
So I seen that you was out in Miami, but you was out in Miami on business. I guess you was on business. I don't know.
A little bit of both.
So you was out in Miami with the dude, him 500, Marcus. He just came out of nowhere, just making a lot of noise. Like, I don't know where the hell he came from. big guy, bigger than me in a blue suit. I'm like, wow, nobody joining on him, but people take it serious. So I'm like, then I see like on you guys' timelines, I'm like, shit, man, this man threw a BT Awards. Like, this man calculated. Like, sometimes you judge a book by its cover too soon. Like, this man's smart. So, like, what was your big takeaway from the whole recession-proof movement? Like, why are you a part of it? Did you buy a ticket? Like, what's your inclusion?
Like I said, like, I'm big on networking. So, you know, I'm in North Carolina, so I have like the real estate queens of North Carolina here, and one of the queens had presented it to us and said, "Hey, there's an event coming up. The only way you can get into the event is if you're a member." So I'm like, okay. Next thing, in order for you to, you know, be a member to go to the event that they're having, the event they say the event is free, right? But in order to get to the event, you have to be a member, which the membership is a cost. So the cost of the membership is a couple $1,000s. So within the you know, like a week's notice, when the queen said, "Hey, let's go," you know, we were like, "All right, let's go," you know, because we had to focus on getting there, trying to plug in, network, and also learn to see, you know, what type of information they would give out. So, and that's one thing that I love about real estate, because it creates the opportunity to where you can just, you know, get out here and invest in yourself even more. So, and I didn't mention this either. I'm really big on now having assets to pay for your lifestyle. So some of the pictures that I post, you're gonna see us on a yacht, you're gonna see us in the car, you know, so all of these things. But I made sure to have property. So I took wholesaling to put some properties on the board, right? And those properties are now paying for my mortgage. I have a property paying for my mortgage. I have a property paying for my new Jeep that I got last year. My SUV, I got a new Range Rover. And then I had
one of my favorite trucks, Range Rover.
Yeah, so I got one of those, but I made sure that I put my assets in position first to pay for these things, because I know I want to take myself out of that linear cycle of continuing to work for money. And that's been my biggest thing. So now going to this event just kind of multiplied my inspiration, because I see as a community how we can come together, and everyone is like of the same mindset of excelling. So when you're in that type of environment, it's just like the synergy in the room is just unreal, because you're like, oh my God, you're not just going to a regular outing or a regular club where people just operate on a different type of frequency. Now you're in this area, in this orbit of entrepreneurs, everyone's excelling. So for me, looking at the people on the stage and just hearing their stories, because sometimes we can get inspired by the rags to riches, from people telling you, okay, I went from here to making $1 million a month. Right. So then that's like, I got to step my game.
That M a month, man, look pretty, you know what I mean? Like think about this. How many lives could you impact with making $1 million a month?
That's what it's all about. And so a thing that really stuck out to me and has for a while, honestly, the more people you help, you're going to help yourself by default, right? So I remember like one of the speakers got on stage and they talked about how a couple of them came together and said, hey, let's create this amount of millionaires, right? Their focus shifted to pouring and making sure they have results for the members by any means necessary. And so all of that just poured right back into him, like at the event. So you can see how real it was. And I knew it was real, because you would run into random people that's been in the program for, a year or months, and they would come, they was like, yeah, I made this, just randomly they'll come up like, hey, I had this success, or I had this success. But when he started talking on stage, I was like, yes, because he was like, I did this from my heart. I wanted to pour in and change as many lives as possible. And that event showed it. I mean, he had Floyd Mayweather there. He had the #1 podcast, Earn Your Leisure there. He had Rick Ross there. Yes.
It was crazy, because like I was following the stories on IG, and like I don't really get turned on by a lot of people. I'm like, I've seen that before. Okay.
Exactly.
Like everybody just like regurgitated what they do, right? You can predict people, especially in this space. And then when I seen the way he pulled up in them coach buses, like they were some football team players, and then put them on this big private 737 jet, and I'm like, that's a different type of love. Like that's what he probably made on the event. He ain't make no money off that event.
Yeah, he did. He couldn't have made no money off of that.
He made no money. You run you got Mayweather, you did this, and I'm not saying this to kind of be googly. I'm just looking at it from a place of giving because I like helping people. So it elevates me mentally. Like, damn, how can I help more people just like that?
Yes.
It kind of like challenge everybody out here. Like, hey man, if y'all ain't on this, y'all better catch up. All that giving at a distance is gone away. You got to really give these days away from what he said from that event that I see in my own 2 eyes.
Absolutely. It's the law of reciprocity because the way that they love on each other, it's like, I can't really put my hands on it, but I could see the law of reciprocity at work. I could see because he came out on stage and at the end, I was crying at the event. He came on stage and Wall Street Trapper came out. And Wall Street was like, you gave me the opportunity to speak in front of 1,100 people at this event, right? And he was like, look how many lives you have changed. Like everybody really rocked with the movement. And so it was just, you could tell it was from the heart. Wall Street was like choked up. And then he started, crying, which the clip is on his page or whatever. So when he started crying, his wife started crying, I started crying. I'm like, oh my God. But it's just the fact of seeing someone in that position that can touch as many people as he did, throughout his whole movement, just believing in himself, because he was working in a call center. And
I didn't know that story. Yeah. It's crazy when people start at, like, you don't know who's going to be the next successful person. So that's why I try my hardest to love everybody I come across and respect them, because you don't know who's going to be the next blessing.
You have to, and that's how I try to operate as well, because you really don't know who's going to be that person in their next position to where you're going to be like, dang, look how they just shot up. But his story was very, very inspiring, how he went from that to just, cultivating a circle of CEOs, and everybody came together collectively to just try to change lives, as many lives as possible. And then it just took off. And I was like, wow, like I could really see me on the stage like that, holding an event for the women, and then just, changing lives out here.
As far as your event and what your group in North Carolina, we talked about that you had, what would you take back from Miami back to your group to implement ASAP to kind of get things even more at a higher level?
Definitely the game plan is to go and, like you said, help as many people as possible. So now we're trying to figure out a strategy on what we can implement to actually bring that to reality, right? So we're going to talk to some things I can't really discuss, but we want to make sure that we make an impact and change as many lives as possible. So that's that. Me personally, in addition to, because somebody else asked me that too, in addition to the inspiration behind it, like I love Raz the Richie story. Like that does it for me. When I can see somebody say, okay, I came from this to this, that puts fire under me. It's like, okay, boom, they did that. Now I can do it. Even though I consider myself like self-motivated or whatever, but that gives me the extra push. And then too, they started talking about branding and, these other little takeaways. And I'm like, okay, cool. Cause I always, love the branding aspect as well of things. So I'm like, there are some things now. I'm not sure if you noticed, but my Instagram account got hacked like 3
Yeah, when I first originally reached out to you about the show, you told me something about that, and I'm like, cool. Yeah. How does that happen? Like somebody just log into your account, so give me some money.
Listen, these hackers out here, and I want to just put this out here for anyone. If you haven't turned on your 2-step authenticator on your social media platforms, make sure you put that in place. I didn't have that in place. But I was at the event in Dallas, Texas. I was at the Clubhouse Live event, and I was sitting there, and then my phone just said, Instagram has logged you out. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? When I get back into the account, I immediately saw another email address pop up at the top of the screen. It's like, confirm this. And I was like, no. And so then I saw my profile picture change to like SpongeBob. And then I was like, what is going on with my account? And then I got logged out again. I go to my email address. I clicked on something on Instagram to try to reset it on my email. They had literally gotten into my email account. And when Instagram sent me the link to reset my password, because they changed my password, when I clicked in the email, it vanished and it went to the trash folder. So I got back out, went to the trash folder, saw the email there, clicked in there, and it vanished again. Like they pulled it off, like out of my email. So I'm like, yo, I'm getting hacked. And so at this point, I'm just going crazy. Like, what is going on with my Instagram account, right? And so then I'm like, I try to go back to my page. At this point, my username has been changed to something else, like something crazy. So at this point, people texting me like, what's going on with your account? I'm like, oh my God, I just got hacked. But long story short, with hackers, they have, I don't know how they target these accounts or how they get this access. It could be anything in your email that you may just get into your email on something or whatever the case may be, but they will go in and they would take over the whole thing. So like still right now, I'm in contact with it's very, very difficult. I'm in contact with Instagram and Facebook trying to see if I can kind of recover the account. And that's a whole bunch of loopholes. So and my lesson in that, I mean, I had like 14,000 followers over there. So now I'm like at 2,000. I converted my brand name, Creating Wealth Society, to my main name and just made that page all in one. So that's the page that I have now. So if you guys see that page, just know that, you know, it's my old page, Andrel Harris. So what ended up happening is I said, you know, even though that happened, it still taught me, right? Because I believe that everything we go through in life is going to teach you. So whether I get the account back or not, it's like, hey, you didn't have your proper measures in place, right? So from where I am now, I can see myself going so much further with what I'm about to do. So right. I said, I'd rather for it to happen at this level than for me to get like hundreds of thousands of followers. And then it happened there because I wasn't prepared. Right. So it's like, now you're at this level, you're about to go up some more, make sure you have your stuff in place. And that's how I kind of looked at that. So I'm like, however the universe want to do it, if my account recovers, fine. If not, I know how to build it back up. And so that's how, you know, I looked at that. But I just want to tell everyone, make sure your accounts are protected. They even got into my Facebook account and changed my password on Facebook, but some kind of way I was able to go in and stop the one from Facebook because they was about to take and shut down my whole Facebook account.
Yeah, people look a little more aggressive than IG.
Yeah, and so then, and when I was at the event, there was an influencer there, and she was like, "Yeah, you know, my account had got hacked, and you know, they took my account down." And she said, "But luckily, I had another system on the outside of these platforms to where I could just text my followers and say, hey, my account got hacked, and I got my account right back."
Yeah,
so
you definitely gotta, and I can kind of chime in on this. You definitely gotta build your own platform outside of social media. Yeah. So you build all my marketing. Text me. I want everybody who follow me, who mess with me, information in my personal database. That way, whatever platform I decide to move and go with, I just hit a click of a button. And everybody know what I'm doing. So.
They know what you're doing, and to me, that was like one of the. Another takeaway for me, right? So she gave me, she said the platform or whatever that I have to go back to my notes, but she said, this is what I put in place. She said, and I have them, you know, and I text them. And so I'm like, dang, you didn't have that in place. But here she is, a high level influencer saying my account was hacked, you know? so this is what I had to do. And so for me, that's one of my action steps for the week is to make sure that I put, you know, those proper things in place to where if it does happen, I can click a button and boom, we right back in business.
So I asked this question. We kind of coming up on an hour, so I want to get you off. I know you got things to do. I asked this question to all my guests on my old podcast, Nothing But Nuggets. I want to continue this question. It's the beginning of the decade. It's 2021, right? Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years at the end of this decade?
In the next 10 years, I'm going to be somewhere traveling the world, having multiple streams. Well, I have multiple streams now, but I have some things that I really want to put in place. So remember, I was talking about the salon and things like that. So I do still continue to go back and get my salon going, have my financial consulting firm going, and of course, having a real estate business going. And then, you know, I have different variations of the real estate business that I do want to put in place. But my primary thing is to continue to have those assets paying for my lifestyle. So I'm already positioning myself to do that. My goal is to leave corporate America next year, maybe the beginning of the year, January, if not the end of this year, if everything goes well. I can actually leave my job like today, but I want to get some more assets on the board so I can have backups for the backup.
Nothing wrong. You know what I mean? I've been without a job since 2013, but that was by force, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you can stay and milk that cow a little longer while you still make $100,000, $200,000, whatever on the side, continue to do that, so that way, you, like you say, you can build assets on your board. One of the things that I created this podcast for, I wanted to teach and show people that you don't not just have to invest in real estate to have what we call assets, or producing things. I'm trying to teach and show people that there is a way that you can have digital products through proprietary things that you can make money and capitalize on. Now, you can't just be a person just a scam artist or somebody who's just putting out fluff. But if you got value, like, if you to show people how to do hair or do cutting bobs and record, you can record that one time and make money over and over again without having to cut nobody else here ever again.
Yeah, digital real estate. Yeah, absolutely. Digital real estate is it. And it's so crazy that I was teaching people how to do that. Like, as I learn, I teach, right? So Joe actually taught me that too, because he was like, okay, you got to get an ebook out. So once he showed me how to do the ebooks and the courses, I bottled it up and I start putting it out there for other people. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna show you how to get your ebook up within a week, whether you can write or not. And I'm gonna show you how to get paid like right now. So I still have like courses that's evergreen out there now, and teaching them how to do that. Like one of our students, I think she made like $3,000 off of the information I gave her from the course. And she's like, yo, you dropped some gems. So that's the thing too. I try to, whatever I know, I'm not holding back. Like, I'm putting everything out there for people to,
I mean, I tell people right now, like, it's the best time to get into the content game. Like, content is the new currency. Like, literally, like, if you got the content, you can make as much money as you want.
Whatever bottle that up in an ebook, how to, whatever the case. It's so easy to make money right now in this day and age, especially online, that, you really have no excuse. It's just really about, knowledge and then application of everything. So definitely that.
Who are the top 3 people that influence you the most, that inspire you, whether it's personal business?
Wow, the top 3, that's kind of hard. Inspiration. That's hard.
Come on, give me something.
I'm trying to think, like, who?
Everybody out there, I don't care how much money you got in your bank account, everybody out there got a YouTube account and they follow somebody that they have to watch their videos to kind of like, yes, I can do it. Like, I know I do.
Okay, now Earn Your Leisure is like a great influencer to me. Okay. I love that because, one, like I said, finance was my thing. So I like how they're doing finance and the culture. Like, I'm for the culture. I would say they definitely are up there as far as my top influencers. Earn Your Leisure for sure. Now, from a I'm trying to think of a female I can put out there that I just really, I can't, like, really, because they might look at it and then they might, oh, you didn't say me. So I'm not gonna say that.
No, come on. Just don't worry about what people say. Listen, that means it's just go a little harder. You know what I mean? Like,
there are so many dope women, and I'm gonna put that out there. There's so many dope women. I don't want them to feel like, oh, it's not, which is not the case. I'm gonna say my sister that has a credit repair company, Arnita Hall Johnson, only because of her story coming off of Section 8. Like I said, I'm big on Rags and Riches. Her story is phenomenal, and how she actually masked her business, and the forefront of her business, she put it out there as if it was like a Caucasian person that was on it, and then she like revealed herself later on, but her business at that point was like multi-millions.
So I do that with my real estate business. I have a realtor represent me. Don't I show up at the closing, they be confused.
Right. So her whole strategy from the Rags and Riches for that, I absolutely love. And then I would say that's that. And then my other influencers is funny because they're not like Drake and Rick Ross.
I love Rick Ross. I watch the stories. Rick Ross got to the point. I put a garden in my front yard. I run a townhouse, right? It's no secret. Yeah. It's 2021. So I tell people, if I wanted to, I can go get a house. But I would prefer to rent so I can have that flexibility, like Grant Cardone says, to move and do the hell I want to do.
Right.
So I go outside every morning with no socks on and walk in the grass. Like, I don't know if you watch his stories, but like his stories on IG is very inspiring.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, and I was actually telling the queens that this weekend, I said, whether y'all know it or not, like Rick Ross is really inspirational. He's really, I love it. And then, of course, he's into real estate and buying this and buying that. His lifestyle as well. He's very smart with his money. And I told him that this weekend. So before, the event, I will follow and watch his stories, to see what he's talking about. And the only reason why I say Drake as well, because I followed Drake from the beginning of his career, and I like lyrics, right? So his lyrics really stuck out to me, and it pulls me in a place to where if I'm going through something, it seems like Drake speaks to me when I'm in this zone. And I'm not gonna negate Nipsey as well. Like that's why it's hard. Nipsey had a great.
I like Drake too. I like his story. Like he come from the Disney Channel to being the biggest rapper ever.
Yeah.
That's inspiration. And like I follow his he was doing documentaries when he first came out, and he was mixtapes, and anybody who can escape cash money still have money.
Yeah, so it's just like when I'm in when I have to create, or if I'm going to something, I'm like, play Drake, or I have to listen to his lyrics. But I love Rick Ross the Boss. I love Nipsey. I pull inspiration from him as well, from what he was able to build in his community and give back and pour in and put people on to gain financial, with financial literacy.
Right.
So I can't narrow it down. I'm just gonna group the culture of
good enough for me. But let's talk about Rick Ross real quick. I got about 4 minutes to burn. Rick Ross, I started really following Rick. I got on IG maybe last year. Like I really went on IG. It's just too much lusting for me.
Yeah.
Like, IG is just, whoa, let me get off it. Anyway, and my wife knows that. We laugh about it. Anyway, Rick Ross made it possible for me mentally to accept that it's okay to be proud and promote your products. At first, I was embarrassed, like, oh, I got this for sale, and I didn't really want to tell people because I don't want nobody to call me a guru or judge me, like, oh, he's just trying to make money on products.
Right.
In all reality, everything is products. The way when you walk out the door, people selling you, you're paying for things, you're supporting people's businesses. Why not be proud of your own products yourself, right? And stand behind stuff. So when I'm looking through his stories, he posting his chips. He posted his liquor. He posted. I tell my team, give me that energy. You know what I'm saying? Because my team on my IG most of the time. I'm like, man, post. I don't care if people aren't following me. Let's post to the point people gonna be sick and tired of me. They gotta respect me.
Absolutely, but they gonna respect it or they gonna unfollow. It's just
they know how gotta come see you when it comes to VAs and whatever you think of me as. So like,
right.
How important it is to you, far as like people to stand behind the product they create and promote it?
I think it's very important because at the end of the day, like you said, everything is product, right? So someone either they're going to buy from someone else or they're going to buy from you. So you might as well just make it known for what it is that you do. So that way, when something comes up, they're like, okay, that I'm going to refer you to this type of person, right? So it's just about getting yourself in front of as many people as possible because there are a lot of great products out there that we don't even know about because they just.
I agree. So if people want to connect with you, I know you said your social medias got hacked. Let's give them some updated social medias.
Yeah, so my Facebook is still the same, thankfully. So you guys can follow me on the Facebook channel. It's Andrel, Andrel. If you go to Instagram, it's Andrel.Harris. Okay, so like my old Instagram was Andrel_Harris. Now it's Andrel.Harris. So you guys can go over to Instagram. I'm uploading, some content over there and just trying to be more consistent and bring in some more value. So absolutely. Anything I can do about, guys, I'm all for.
And if females, like this group that you have in Carolina is only for females, I'm assuming, right?
Well, okay. So two things. My personal brand is the Creating Wealth Society, right? The Creating Wealth Society is a society for women only, which is a Facebook community. So I created that platform for women. It's not just for real estate. It is for personal finance times real estate as well. It's not just all real estate group, but we're talking about all things wealth, creating wealth, and then real estate tied in. So the Creating Wealth Society, women, feel free to join. Now, on the outside of that, thank you so much for posting it. So now on the outside of that, what we're doing here in North Carolina, the 4 Queens of North Carolina, in which we have, we also have like a news article. So you guys can kind of Google us and see what we're doing. We gave away a free investment property last year. So we did a webinar And then one lucky attendee was able to win the free investment property. So we're excited about that. But the 4 Queens of North Carolina, we're really just trying to highlight women in the industry. So that's why we're at the forefront of everything. However, we're not just catered to females. So if there are any men that want to connect and be like, hey, show me, then they're welcome to kind of join whatever the webinars, anything that we have going on, come to the events and everything. But we just want to make sure that we can show people that women, can come together to collaborate, and then also women can also dominate in this industry as well.
Man, this is a great episode. I appreciate you taking time out your busy day to come on the new Entrepreneur Toolbelt Podcast. Check us out every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, I got another amazing guest. He owns his own, I don't want to say hedge fund, but he owns his own private equity fund. He raises to do development deals, fix and flips, and he owns a skip tracing company as well. So I make that announcement on probably Sunday or Monday, who it is. But I really appreciate you. Is there any outgoing messages or any words of encouragement you want to leave the people before we get out of here?
I would just say that I want you guys to just understand this, that we're all on borrowed time, right? So we just saw one of the icons in rap pass away. And anytime when life happens, I always resort back to thinking that we are all on borrowed time, and whatever we choose to do with that time in the middle is everything. So don't wait to get out here and do whatever you need to do. Connect with people that you need to connect with. Monitor your social media accounts. Again, make sure you protect your social media accounts. But if you need to get out here and do an inventory of who you're following and who you're connected with, then do that. I had to go and unfollow a lot of people when I was on my journey. I started following bosses. I started following women that I can pull energy from. That's on Facebook and Instagram. So do an inventory of what you're following. Get plugged in, get the knowledge you need, and most importantly, I want you guys to execute. Like, do not hold back, because it's so much out here, right? It's just so much, and you really have to be plugged in. Know what you want to get out of life, and then work towards that, because anything you want to do, I'm a firm believer, is possible. So that's
me too. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Follow her on IG. I look forward to speaking to you soon again. Thank you so much.
Anytime, Antoine. Thank you so much for having me on. I wish you much success in your podcast. If it's anything that I can help you do, brother, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Definitely. I'm going to hit you soon. I got some ideas for you. I'm going to hit you.
All right. Perfect.
France, you want to take it away with some announcements we may have coming up? Come on up.
Announcements for okay, you got it.
Hi, I'm here. Hi, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed the podcast today with Andrel. Her link for Instagram is on the comment section, as well as her link tree for all of the things that you're interested to do business with her. That's on there. I would like to invite everyone to be part of our VA Mastery Mastermind that's going to be happening on Saturday. If you are a leader in your organization and you don't know how to lead your people, as we all know that 10% of the businesses nowadays are just or have the great leaders, but 90% doesn't. So we found out that 30% of leadership will generate more revenue for your business. And now we would like to help you. So please go to CEO929.com to know more details about the VA Mastery Mastermind. Again, that's on April 17, 2021. And it will be happening from 8 or 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you again, everybody, for watching. We hope to see you again on their next show. That will be on Wednesday next week at 6 p.m. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for having me.